pick Mundo. It's like we haven't seen Mundo in this series. We saw one ban. The strong power pick that is going to be left open if QG go for the Lul ban once again is Dr. Mundo. And with these ranged junglers banned from the jungle, I think Mundo, even in top lane, is the strongest pick they could pick up in this rotation.
Mundo is like, I would pick Mundo here. There's like no reason to not pick Mundo. But then again, what else is there open? I mean, you do not want to pick Channel because on blue side we said it's like a bit weaker than on the purple side because you can hide it into like the last pick. What do you pick here right now? Is that maybe Rek'Sai? Do you pick up the better jungle matchup already?
It has to be Mundo.
It has to be Mundo?
You could take Mundo and Rek'Sai if you want to send him top. Then you pretty much deplete the jungle pool. But then, of course, you know, Swift is just going to take Nidalee again.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to pick Nidalee regardless.
Yeah, I think he's just. I think you have to assume that, right?
Oh, no!
Wow.
Well, okay, that was unexpected.
Okay, well, okay, I mean, last game we saw the blind Victor, which we thought was bad also because it signified that Ryze was going top. But this time, Dignitas, do you think it's maybe them putting a little bit too much credit to Doinby's Victor?
I do not like this at all. I think what QG should do right now is just pick Rek'Sai and Trundle to have like a stronger matchup already in the jungle. And what is Qiao gonna play? Yeah, challenge his jungle pool more.
Okay.
Rek'Sai is a good pick. Like, what is Qiao gonna pick right now? It's like,
in my opinion, I feel like the optimal picks would be just Dr. Mundo and straight up Trundle. Because I still feel right now with the current jungle pool, I still feel that Dr. Mundo is on top.
Sure, but you put yourself into the advantage where you just give away the flexibility already if you just pick both in one rotation.
Well,
to be fair, you can kind of do a triple flex.
Triple flex?
Until the end.
I can see that. But I do not want to see this Nidalee.
Well, you know, he was hovering over that Rek'Sai for a long time and he decided, nah, you're going to go with the Nidalee again.
I can see why the Fiora is like a good pick away because Ryze is banned, Malphite is banned, we have not seen Mundo. What's left? Like, Fiora is the best champion.
What I want to see now is just bring out the Jax versus Fiora. The skill matchup, Smitty J, and even in the Challenger Series, played these carry top laners. I'm kind of hoping that he busts out the Jax, because Jax is still super powerful, even with the Guns's Rageblade nerf.
Hey man, they can switch it around. He can go Hecarim this time.
Kira is gonna...
yeah.
Kira is gonna go Rek'Sai again here. There's no reason not to pick a Rek'Sai, especially like with the Victor together. It's like really good synergy, safe jungler. Not that strong against Nidalee, but he played the matchup out, like, I think better in my opinion in the early game than Swift. So Tristana, okay.
Well, you could pick your bot lane right now.
Or you could pick your bot lane right now, but you lock yourself into... Okay.
I mean, it's like you're guaranteed to have a bad matchup in bot lane now. I'm kind of hoping that QG just picks up the Alistar now together with Lucian, and you can pressure this bottom lane. And they also have the blind pick of Victor, and there's no real hard counter to Fiora. So QG is lining themselves up to have the stronger early game once again.
Miss Fortune is also good.
Yeah, toying with that misfortune. Of course, last time it was on the side of Dignitas.
I mean, QG locked themselves into like a split push scenario already. It's like Fiora. The winning condition right now is like get your Fiora ahead and make sure she's split pushed, right? That's like always your winning condition with Fiora. If she's strong enough, she can even join team fights or skirmishes and then completely dominate the game through that. So, do you like sacrifice your bot lane like too right now? Like, do you just pick for the team comp in the bot lane?
I feel like you can just pick up the Alistar, has really good matchup in the Thresh, and Alistar as well scales so well into the game. Because Alistar, back in the past, was always the champion that you blind picked, because he's always going to be good into your composition. Engage composition, disengage composition, always good.
Yeah. The only downside I see here is we don't have any hard engage from QG. And I think Lissandra? Lissandra would solve the problem, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
It would solve, yeah. That would be like a pretty decent comp. Because right now I'm like a bit afraid that Victor just gets like away. If you get away with the first pick Victor and there's no hard engage or punishment for that, you're doing something wrong, right?
That's
for sure.
Okay. Oh, and the Jax does come out like you guys kind of wish to see, and it makes sense.
And Rek'Sai, yeah. That was
very important. I think the Jax is so important because Dignitas were lacking a win condition, because they need to play around the top lane now, force the 2v2, make sure Jax comes up ahead. Because once again, with the Nidalee, it's so hard without engage to win the 4v4 that is going to happen in mid when the split push occurs. But then again, they can once again solve that issue with the Lissandra with the TP to pressure that 1v1 that we're going to see.
Okay, going for potentially an Orianna. How would you look at it if Orianna comes into the picture? Do you still say, oh, like it's not bad? Or
there's no setup right now. There's like, what you have to hope for is that Dignitas just engages on you, and then you just kite them back. But
yeah,
why would you do that?
I don't think Dignitas is going to want to full engage. I mean, look what they've got. They've got a lot of tools to wreck towers. They have some decent wave clear on the side of the Victor, and they have ways to catch people out. QG is going to want to force fights, and not just because they're QG. because they now have that, if they lock the Orianna, they've got a couple ways to deliver the ball. They've got the Nidalee, they've got the Alistar, but I think this is better. I like the Cassidy better.
I like the Cassidy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like my big question now is Dignitas with these things going on for them. They have the weaker jungle in the early game. Risk guy scales better unless Nidalee gets ahead.
Right.
The big question now is Dignitas are most likely going to go for the same lane swap once again, and they ended up super far ahead with the lane swap they pulled off in the second game. QG hasn't had a lot of time to think about that because the last game ended in a very different fashion than you could expect. So the question is now, how fast can QG adapt to the lane
Okay.
swap?
Yeah, fair enough. Something to look forward to. Of course, a little bit big differences here in the picks. Also, I think a lot of people are going to have their eyes on that Jax, of course, for Smitty J. But overall, if that lane swap comes through, can Dignitas kind of steamroll through before QG can realize what's happened again? Or are they going to give yet another chance to QG? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll find out in game number 3. Who's going to win it? They are tied 1-1 in this best of 3. We'll find out right after this break.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the caster's desk here at IEM Cologne, and it is Dignitas going up against QG, and it is a map 3 for Oscarin. Before this, would you have really predicted us to get to this third map at all?
I mean, frankly, both these teams are unpredictable. We haven't seen them since their own regional playoff, so it's been, you know, close to 3 months. So kind of up in the air on who is decisively going to win this. New Dignitas, new expectations. Qiao, old team, same problems.
That's right. Well, let's see what expectations are going to be like now following that second game, which was a lot better for QG, especially with Dignitas were not able to shut them down early. I mean, before we really dive into the specifics here, Caster now being picked up here for Doinby. Something you've seen before, I'm sure?
Something that I wanted to point out is the Victor first pick. I was just as perplexed by it as the analyst desks there during Champion Select. I mean, obviously, that has to be just a denial away from Doinby. He had a great performance on the Victor last game, much better than his first game, as we see an Invade coming out of Dig. The thing, though, is that Doinby picked up his kind of second beast champion, and it's Kassadin. Now, he is well known for his Kassadin performance. It was pretty much perma-banned away from him in the LPL when Kassadin was in vogue. And something that I also want to point out is Kassadin into Victor is a very established matchup in the LPL. They do this all of the time. Kassadin actually has the superior win rate, but the thing that Qiao's composition is lacking, and what's really scary is the wave clear. And in a meta where pushing towers is so important, where you can snowball the minion EXP, where you can get the Rift Herald, have the Baron buff, you need that wave clear. It's so much more important now. And I feel like if Qiao, if they ever fall behind, they have zero tools to kind of carry out like they did last game, get to that 35-minute mark and try to find a way back in.
That's the ward I was talking about last game, and it's one that wasn't placed by Qiao. Dignitas, though, they've done their homework and they will spot out the lane swap immediately. You can see the positioning of them actually close towards the Krugs here. So Jesse's and Apollo can immediately respond and set themselves up in that top lane for the 2v2.
We did have some counter invading going on from Qiao. They did manage to deep ward onto the bottom side of the map, so they should know full well what is happening here. You do see Swift in response taking the red buff, so some vertical jungling going on.
Kirei and Spinny J, yep, exactly like you said, just establishing a presence in each other's jungles here as well, but in terms of the consequences right now, nothing really to write home about. But you said this Cassidy, this Victor matchup was, you know, fairly straightforward, I guess, or expected in the LPL. Duenbee's played Cassidy 6 times in summer, to my understanding, and has won 5 out of 6 of those games on the Cassidy.
And it's very heavily banned against him now because Fiora was in the lane first. She will have the experience advantage. Of course, the as I say that, actually, Smitty J getting. I was gonna say the experience was changed on the double jungle camp, but here we go.
He might be in trouble there, but he's actually managed to dodge the javelin toss there, so he's still going to get jumped on towards, of course, and a flash is going to be used right towards the end for Smitty J. I mean, you can see he was definitely giving V a battering, but good timing from Swift to get to the lane.
Has that flash. We'll see if he punishes it all. They did talk about how Jax versus Fiora is a skill matchup. Obviously, it's about how you use that riposte against the stun. The power of Gosu's Rage Blade. I hate saying the name of that item. Is going to be the big swing here. V isn't actually known as a Fiora player. He's more of a role player, a tank player. In fact, I'd say that he's never played Fiora in the LPL, and that was kind of one of the big factors of why Qiao weren't able to defeat Invictus Gaming to represent the LPL at Worlds. So this is completely new territory here. We'll see if V can live up to it, or if Smitty J's really going to run away with this lane. Now again, down that flash, down that teleport. Bit vulnerable right now.
It's been Hecarim, Rise, and now Fiora for V. Interesting to see how he transitions, even just in his mindset, I guess, in the way he wants to play this lane, and maybe that is going to be telling us more of the story of the changes that Qiao have undergone in that off-season. But Smitty J will saunter back towards the bottom lane, as we would expect there. And I mean, CS differences here, nothing huge being established, except for this bottom lane, to be honest, after Smitty J was forced back. Been a slight lead now that V has been able to mount.
But they're not punishing the fact that Smitty J is so far forward
without a flash,
without any of his summoners. If he dies here, he won't even have the teleport, you know, effectively to pick up on the extra experience. So getting the chance to reset that lane as Swift is spending his time up into the top side, which...
Ooh, death sentence.
Ganking Tristana, especially with a Thresh there, you have the safety of the Dark Passage as well as the rocket jump. So I feel like Swift not quite as on point as where he needs to be. I mean, that said, he did start on the bottom side by stealing Dignitas, or excuse me, trading the red buff. So obviously he needs to be on the top side enough to clear his jungle.
Yeah, I think Spinner J probably spotted Swift towards the top side as well. There was a ward close by there to that tri-bush for Dignitas, so maybe he had a little bit of information to cause him to come forward here. But I mean, yeah, this is the 2v2, of course. This is what Dig wanted. They wanted to play, of course, this Tristana Thresh in towards the Alistar Misfortune combination here. I'm really interested to see what Kirei's next move is going to be. You can see in that mid lane as well, no one really giving too much ground. I mean, Shifter, yeah, they're both looking pretty healthy at this stage. So interested to see how these two aggressive junglers now look to try and open things up a bit.
Kirei actually invading without Unburrow. That was actually pretty risky. He's now burrowed out, so he has his Tremor Sense. Manages to get that deep vision again on Swift. He itemized Sightstone very early. Sightstone not the most cost-efficient item right now, but we'll see how Dignitas, if they're able to make the most out of this.
See, advancing the vision game now. You can see Kirei will be coming in, a riposte coming out from V, but Kirei is there, and he's looking for an Unburrow as well. There's going to be a teleport in response here, and Dignitas automatically just back away. Teleport cancelled, but still some threat here as well. Smitty J's low, there's the flash, but he gets out with a leap strike, and Kirei as well is able to shepherd that Jax to safety.
Beautiful play by Smitty J right there to make sure that he's not able to take the execution damage from Swift's Nidalee with that beautiful leap strike.
Very, very close. The second that javelin hit, he knew he was in trouble.
And really great decision-making from Kirei. Again, you know, there's so many top-tier junglers. We keep saying this over and over, and Kirei didn't come up on that list when you have the likes of Rush, Swift, Spirit, Jankos in this tournament. But back-to-back, you know, he goes in for the deep vision. He understands, you know, what went right so well the first game. It was deep warding on Swift, figuring out where that guy is and playing around it accordingly. So beautiful job, finds the deep vision, transitions that to kind of even up some of the power on the bot line.
You know, the investment he made in the Sightstone, you said it wasn't super gold efficient, but you can see what Kirei is thinking going for that one at this stage. Now, in the mid lane just before, you did see Chaos Storm come out from Shifter as he was threatened by Duenbee. Definitely looking like that a confident Cassidy right now. Duenbee, you know, had Shifter pretty much at no mana here, so I mean, the sustained game definitely going over to Cassidy at least early on.
Power will definitely start to shift with Cassidy when he has his Rift Walk available to him naturally, because although, hold on, Apollo in some trouble.
He might be, he's going to have to rocket jump out of there as well. TCT doesn't have the capacity to get to grips with that very low Tristana. And it was very, very quick decision making to keep Apollo alive. But Qiao now thinking about harassing Swift here. It's fairly low. Still with that, any sort of follow-up or backup for that matter, it's going to be Rek'Sai getting the heck out of there.
Again, continuing to apply the pressure. Doinby has to be careful. He knows he rift walks forward.
Oh my, almost caught by the gravity field. He's able to get out of that before it procs and somehow avoids getting completely jumped on because Qiao was waiting in the wings. And look at the Ionian boost of lucidity so early out from Doinby here.
If that gravitational field had landed, I mean, that was pretty much...
I think you would have flipped the table. You're about to anyway. The arms were up.
You knew that Qiao was in the area because he was spotted out by Swift. Doinby, I mean, that's not a lot of respect for a jungler that's been pretty much, you know, controlling the pace of this game, of this entire series.
It's almost like after last game, he's got a feeling that Shifter does favor that more passive play, and so Doinby wants to try and make the use of some of those aggressive openings, but that almost blew up in his face, literally. Qiao, again, very active, this man. You can see him back and forth across the map, always just clearing house, putting pressure on QG here. I mean, to be fair, he hasn't actually been able to do much with that, and he's fallen slightly behind in farm as a result. But you've got a feeling that eventually his effort's going to pay off.
Well, that's really supposed to be expected in terms of Swift. Swift is very good at, you know, people think of him as an early aggressive jungler, which he can show that, but he kind of has two modes. It's either super aggressive, I'm invading your jungle at every point, or I'm just really farming up, and he's very good at that naturally, as Nidalee is.
Word Rush was used there by Qiao to get close towards that top side. It was maybe thinking it might coincide with the death sentence, but was a bit too much of an overlap there as well, and Qiao is going to actually do a bit of farming, get himself some of that money. Swift again looking forward. He won't find a heck of a lot towards that side of the map. It's pretty much been cleared out of at least that red buff, but he wants to go towards a mid. Blue buff going to be given over to a Shifter as well, which was his problem in actually the first sort of 5 minutes. It was his sustain. He left lane with no mana and sort of quite low health as well, so he'll be relishing the chance to be able to spam a little bit more.
Qiao again looking for a very aggressive evade, trying to set down these deep wards, checking on timers for Swift. This is risky.
Smitty J's flash is again available, and you never dive a Jax. Well, that was the old saying anyway.
It's still fairly true. And he does hit the javelin toss. Okay.
Well, so they might go in for this one. It's tensive. It's so funny. You kind of know what's happening. They're circling like vultures. And Spinner J, he's going to have to be quick on his feet. Grandmaster's Might has popped immediately, but so much damage is going towards him. He's not going to be able to get the stun. And QG now can pull him apart, just like vultures. First blood towards Swift.
I always do enjoy it when teams choose to gank the teleport just because you know exactly what kind of numbers advantage you're going to have. But meanwhile in the top lane.
The flash forward from Jesse's. He doesn't land the box, and TNT now going to get knocked up. Qiao got there at just the right time. Apollo flashing forward. He wants to secure that kill towards TNT, but Jesse's, he gets the auto attack in and takes it for his team.
Beautiful cross-map play from Dignitas. They know that Swift is in the bottom. They know that the resources were expended, so they immediately gank on the opposite side of the map. Now, V, because he was low health, he wasn't able to follow up and assist his team with the teleport.
2&B now will at least be able to take this blue away. You can see just how keen Dignitas were to fight there. Jesse's flashing forward, going for the flay box, and eventually managed to find it with Qiao getting involved there. And you can see Dignitas's capacity to create these picks, of course, now with their team comp is looking pretty darn scary.
That's something that I really love about Dig's team comp that the analyst desk was talking about a bit. It's kind of, they have everything that they need. You know, you have the wave clear, you have the pick potential with the death sentence, you have late game scaling power on the Tristana as well as Jax, you know, being a very item dependent champion, having more ambient gold in this current meta of League of Legends. So it's kind of like this all-in-one beautiful mash, whereas again, Xiao, their comp has very clear weaknesses and they cannot afford to fall behind again this game.
Not only are the weaknesses clear, but the intentions also, at least if you're Dignitas. You can see a little bit of what Qiao wants to be doing, or at least towards that mid-game as things do progress a bit here. You saw top outer turret not able to be taken away here for Dignitas. It was TCT getting there in the nick of time. But I said before, I foreshadowed it almost unintentionally. I want to see now how these junglers get involved with some of the aggression. And like you said, the cross-map play was good. And Shifter there being pressured heavily by Doinby.
Speaking of jungle play, we've got both junglers being very aggressive, very forward. Qiao starting to even out the CS advantage that Swift had. Of course, he still has to compensate for the fact that Swift got the first blood gold in his pocket, but now, again, looking for that gank path with the Unburrow on the back of this lane.
Again, this has come from this angle before. V, close-ish to his turret, to be fair. It's
does need to be careful because Doinby has the teleport available as well as the flash for Fiora, and it doesn't translate to anything.
That's right. Qiao just sending a message there as he makes his way towards the bottom lane briefly. SmittyJ, for some reason, wanted to go back in there as well, and it does trade out a little bit. Just some back and forth, maybe some mind games as well, indicating that Qiao might still be there. He has since left. See the top side, Apollo just going to pop that ward down as well towards TCT, and again, just try and give Dig that foothold. It feels like Qiao, still wants to try and apply that pressure via vision, but in the last few minutes, hasn't really been able to get too deep.
I mean, if you look at it, though, they still have deep wards on the top side of the map, which is allowing Dignitas to have that pressure forward. But here we go, mid lane.
Don't be able to get out of that gravity field quite quickly, and a quick trade is a good trade if you're a Kassadin, and he manages to get out ahead in that one as well. A couple more of those, and Shifter will be starting to feel the pressure, as Swift is already going to be making his way up as well, maybe trying to open up some sort of opportunity. You can see straight away ward over the wall. Shifter's having none of it.
I know Yamato really likes Kassadin. I am kind of in the same boat, although not necessarily in this comp. I just think that when Rod of Ages was really changed a few patches ago when it became strong, it really took Kassadin online. Likewise, we also have the changes to his W, but in the bot lane, V, under pressure.
He tries to flash away from the Unburrow when does. I think he still got stunned up with the last little tick of that counter-strike, but still gets away.
I keep looking and I'm like, there's no way that he's going to die right now, but they do force the flash.
Still get something for that gank there. Qiao coming back for another crack at the bottom side, but again, flash away from Fiora. It's going to be yielding them some results in the future. Shifters walk straight in, but he manages to get the burst on Swift out of nowhere. Of course, we know what Victor can do when he can burst down. I guess Swift there just didn't even know what was coming.
I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. Swifter. That's pretty much what happened
Pretty much. It was a swift shift in favor of Shifter. A quick kill to come through. I don't know. That was pretty scary, but we know the burst potential of Victor there as well. Maybe Swift just not respecting it.
I mean, face forward, jumped in. Swift was looking to fight, and unfortunately, Doinby didn't even follow up at all. Shifter picks up a free kill.
And it's actually not the first time that has been done. Swift did that in game one. It was Qiao who actually managed to get the kill away from him there as well. Again, a matter of not respecting what you're getting yourself into or what your opponent can do. As teleport to bottom side, and the challenge has been laid down by Viva. SmittyJ just trying to sustain through this a little bit more. The stun doesn't activate. Of course, the bill's parried away. And V is able to heal up through that one. Another successful dive towards that Jax. They're really trying to put a lot of pressure on Smitty and keep him quiet.
Taking advantage of Shifter's back right there after the kill went down, knowing that he was back in the base, healing up and making sure that I can get this teleport in. We can make the play immediately now. Back, spin the gold, and run straight back to mid lane. So he's not losing anything for it.
You know, on one hand, you're seeing that Swift's able to get to grips with SmittyJ in the bottom lane and get those ganks down, whereas Qiao a little bit frustrated, hasn't even just the one assist for the man right now as well. It means 50% participation, but he'd love to do a bit more, especially in such a crucial quadrant of this map.
Big items coming online, though. We do have the Rage Blade up and online for Jax. I believe Deficio said it best. When that item is fully stacked, the efficiency on it for the amount of damage that you're putting out is like 180%. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Just a matter of SmittyJ can actually get that one stacking on up. See recalls here as well. Qiao's heading back, and Jesse's as well. Always just checking that river as well. Not quite sure of where Swift is going to be. He's been a menace thus far.
There's something that I really like about Jax, just to kind of quickly touch back on him. Yes, SmittyJ sitting 0-2-0. That's not the greatest scoreline. He's down in CS by quite a bit. But the thing about Jax is he's an item-dependent champion. It really doesn't matter if he's 0-6. At some point, when he gets the necessary items in his inventory, he's going to be Jaxed no matter what.
It's always it's a foregone conclusion that at some stage you're going to have to deal with that.
Don't you love that when you've like put a Jax down early game? He's like 0-3. He comes back with. It used to be in the past like the Trinity Force and just immediately kills you. Like,
yeah, he just belts your head and it's like, wow, okay, maybe I should have seen that coming. Now it's happened enough times to me. I'll give you the big tip. But that's Jax for you, ladies and gentlemen, of course, and a lot of synergy between that Quincy's Rage Blade and of course that Grandmaster's Might. The passive stacking up as well. That satisfying sound of him belting on a tower or a hapless enemy champion.
Here we go, though. 2v2, Fiora, Nidalee versus Rek'Sai and Jax. Again, Dignitas, this has kind of been their MO. As soon as they think that they have any sort of advantage anywhere, they immediately translate that into deep invading and pressuring into Swift's jungle. Swift trying to outmaneuver them a little bit, but is spotted out by the pink ward. Yeah,
I mean, he wasted no time in trying to clear that out, but he might find himself in a little bit of danger here. SmittyJ is going to try and get to grips with him as well. Swift going a little bit low, but SmittyJ, where's the follow-up? Where's Qiao? He's not here. SmittyJ still gets the kill towards Swift, but he's not going to be able to sustain through the damage for V. And Qiao, well, he just has to look on in dismay as the 1-for-1 goes down and backs away.
I mean, again, you're taking the 1v1. It's not the worst trade. Now Jax resetting himself, has that kill on the board, so taking a little bit of the kill gold back with him, but kind kind of a miscommunication there from Qiao as well as Smitty J that he wasn't next to him to make that a 2v2.
Not the first time that's happened, in fact, as well. We saw Smitty J go aggressive in that bottom lane as well after Qiao had actually already left. Yeah, new roster. I mean, communication is key, and it's something that's going to take a lot longer than a couple of days to work on. But those are the things that reveal those particular deficiencies in your team dynamic. And here's TNT and TCT. We're just over towards it in the middle lane, though. Sorry, 2&B. It's getting bursted down, and now, like you said, that power starting to shift a little bit more. But there's TCT. He's going to go for the knock-up, but he's caught in the gravity field. And Shifter and Qiao, cool men, don't look at explosions or cows being caught in gravity fields.
Good vision from Dignitas, spotting out Qiao, making that roam onto the mid lane, making sure that Qiao was in position to follow it up to have Shifters back so that didn't turn into something more. And again, they've done such a great job with their vision control against Qiao.
Again, Qiao, just, I think, personifying your point. Jess is even moving forward as well. With that outer turret down in the top lane, they have a bit more control, and Qiao's relishing the fact that he can now go for these Krugs, he can now go for those deep wards as well, spread his network of tunnels everywhere, be anywhere he needs to on the map in a pinch. It's a very low kill game though here, Frosco. I feel like we've seen a little bit different, definitely since the first game, the way that these two teams have developed an understanding of each other. Now, we see things slowed down a heck of a lot.
Well, typically in a best of series, naturally, at least again on the old patch, again, it's a little bit wonky now because we are in the new patch. Everything's kind of up in the air. You know, what is the best strategy? Teams are still trying to figure it out. But it used to be that you always play for late game in a best of series last game because no one's going to take a chance to throw away their series by making a crazy level 1 or early game kind of snowball type of play. So it makes sense that Dignitas would have those different options. Again, we talked about how well-rounded of a team comp it is, how it kind of has everything that you really want from it. So expect it to be a little bit more tame, a little bit more reserved, because this is it. This is the best of 3. This is the final game. They don't want to blow it at like the first 5 minutes to give away 4 kills.
And we look towards with great interest to when we do hear that critical mass, when all of a sudden it's gloves off and on for young and old, and these teams are starting to brawl, but they're now trying to lay down this groundwork. And dragon work as well being done here for QG. Just going to pick that one up. Even with the health pool of outer turrets increasing, it's still not an issue. But Jesse's now getting knocked up, getting completely caught out and absolutely nowhere. There will be no follow-up. There will be no funeral. He falls on his own.
And suddenly there are 4 members of Qiao in a single area, and they find another kill and pick up an objective. The Dragon has still been very important to them over the course of this series, and frankly, there's no reason for Dignitas to try to face check into that.
Strange. Very, very strange there as well. Smitty J as well, he's actually found himself in the top lane this time as well, after that tower finally going down. And it was very elongated sort of period, of course, of that lane swap for 2v2 in the top side. But now it looks like people are moving a bit more. Duanbi might be caught here or not, as he comes forward as well, just to try and insult to injury TCT and TNT. And the bouncers have joined him in the mid lane as well. And Swift isn't too far off here, so maybe some grouping here, or maybe some roaming as 2s or 3s.
Really starting to see some CS deficits open, especially in that top lane between V and Smitty J. That's about 30 CS. Every 13 is worth a kill worth of gold. You got it.
Stole straight away with that Prey Seeker.
Is important though that Shifter doesn't have it, however.
That is true. He would be ruining the loss of that regeneration there. So QG still forcing that to go over towards maybe the less, well, I mean, far less than ideal champion in Qiao. Doing B as well. Just looking to be coming again.
Problems with Rexat. You know, her huge mana pool.
Yeah, that's right. He's loving the CDR though. At least he's just it's totally worth it, of course. But someone had to take it, and well, it was just as well it didn't go over towards QG. But you can see Duanbi there pressuring Shifter, maybe hoping to see use some of his cooldowns, and you know they're still playing the lane here. This is a very elongated lane phase.
Dangerous though. Hold on, I'm watching Qiao. He doesn't have Jesus with him. There he goes. Okay, so he doesn't commit too deep right there.
So Justice might want to try and cause some trouble over here in the blue side of the map, as there was a ward that went down again. Those two roam together to get the vision. Apollo has found an opening towards TNT, but he goes forward. Oh, buster shot, okay. Thought he might commit fully to that one as well, but just hoping to get a bit of extra damage across. But Duanbi coming in from the backside, and there is Swift as well. He's chasing them down. He hit the javelin on towards Apollo. The teleport's going to come in. Smitty J is in the house. A big knock-up coming out there. And up Burrow as well. TCT gets so much CC down, but Smitty J does get the kill towards V. Swift is going to drop as well. That's a double for that Jax. As you said, one way or another, that man is going to come back swinging. But the triple kill comes there for Duanbi as well. TCT and Duanbi trying to back away. Shifter and Qiao, hot pursuit.
I mean, in the end, it's pretty much an even wash across both sides. Of course, Doinby burning the teleport, so he gets there a little bit earlier, but Shifter doing a good job roaming down in time. Everyone's funneled into choke point, so you had a great TCT Alistair knock-up on multiple members of Dignitas, but eventually Victor arrives. He's able to use the choke point on his Chaos Storm, and Smitty J just goes crazy in the back.
So that was the catch here as well. Swift does hit the javelin going forward. Keegan the teleports in as well, and he gets a bit messy with knockups.
Yeah, there's that incredible knockup. It's followed up really well by TNT's bullet time, not taking down as many members as possible. But Smitty J, again, Jax is just so potent and powerful, and Shifter just doing massive amounts of damage. He's in that choke point. He's on the Victor. He did a great job showing up when his team needed him.
And Jax now, a little bit of kill gold going in towards his pockets is going to be helpful. But Doinby has a Rod of Ages, and he has Azonya's Hourglass here. His items really starting to come through, and he's starting to look just that more frightening with every passing minute.
Yeah, hasn't died yet on the Kassadin. Used to be that, you know, he gets 2 kills and suddenly that game's looking much scarier than it should be. Qiao haven't fallen behind yet in the gold lead. That's the first time this series that they've managed to leave the early game ahead.
Yeah, and that's a terrifying sign if you know what Qiao's tendencies are here as well to get through that early game. Dignitas, this is the story from last game. You must shut QG down early in the game and play off the openings that they give you, but Dignitas haven't been able to do that yet again. It's got to be making you a little bit concerned as things get later on.
Dignitas have much more structure throughout, however. You have the split push that's been opened up by the ability for Jax to push forward. He can take towers down very quickly. And again, going back to what was successful for them in game 1, having Shifter on that Victor, having Apollo on the Tristana, the tower pressure there, zone with the gravitational field and burn through these structures with your satchel.
Shifter as well, going to be a major factor as we keep going. He's doing fine as well, to be fair. When we're talking about Doinby doing all right, it's Shifter actually with a couple kills and assists under his belt. He also is building quite heartily towards those bigger items as well. I mean, Smitty J as well and V, both those guys being a factor in that last fight there as well. Smitty J just unable to take down Doinby, but here's the group towards mid. Dignitas again, they want to pressure this outer turret, but it might be their undoing. TCT goes forward. It's a perfect combo from the Alistair, and you saw the Shifter got blown to pieces. Jesse's trying to slow things up. He puts the box towards the side, but it's not going to be enough. He will be eaten for dinner. Doinby gets another one for himself there. 2 for none. This is QG's now starting to show their teeth.
And I know that you said that TCT, you know, he likes playing the Janna. He's comfortable on the disengaged champions, but the thing that he really made his name on was these hard engaged style champions like Annie, like Braum, and he's a primary playmaker for their team.
Doinby, another kill for him in the mid lane, and Qiao even fancies himself a go. He's going to drop as well. This Kassadin is getting out of control.
Again, Kassadin was perma-banned away from Doinby in the LPL, one of the few champions that he could confidently play, and Qiao will now pick up a delayed ace as well as the Baron.
And just doesn't get any better for them right now as well. We saw how much trouble that Dignitas had trying to get themselves a Baron, and QG, instead of Baron first, fight after. It's fight first, Baron later, and here's Doinby just doing Doinby things.
The thing is that the cooldowns were changed for Kassadin, and this kind of has a chain effect on Kassadin just because of how his kit works, that if he's able to spam these spells more often, it releases, it lowers the cooldowns on the rest of his abilities, so it created this chain effect of just making him stronger across the board.
Remember, the first actual item that Doinby went for was the Ionian Treads of Lucidity. You wanted that CDR, you know, very hungrily, even early on in the piece here. 6-0-2. Sheen now hits his inventory, starting to ramp up again for that third big item. Someone's got to shut him down here, but the question is, who on Dig is going to do that? Or can Dig shut anyone on QG down right now? They're grouping up, and they're getting aggressive, and they're just snatching away some camps here as well.
There was such a glaring weakness in Qiao's comp, and the fact that if they ever fell behind, they would have no way to clear the waves, to be safe, to turtle under tower. But unfortunately, the one game Dignitas can't get the lead early enough.
That is just played so beautifully into Qiao's hands. Got the Baron on them as well, of course, so you expect to see them now just applying pressure towards this mid lane. Jesse's hoped for a little bit of a hook there before, but just completely missed it. And there's a turret going down there as well in another lane. And QG now pressure on towards this mid inner. V is caught here. They'll be flayed back, but he's able to shrug that off as well with a riposte. And what the TCT going in? I think that was a buster shot forced out of Apollo to force him away.
Inner tower down, and they continue to go forward. Good dodge with the Hourglass to make his way out of harm's way.
Now the Hourglass is coming in very, very big for QG these last 2 games. They want this inhibitor turret, and they're not going to stop at anything to get it. Jesse's is low, puts up the box. He's able to get away, but the inhibitor now will fall. QG are knocking on the door, not with a fist, but with a battering ram, and they're not going to stop here. Doinby now just forced away a little bit. They just get that inhibitor, of course, with the Baron buff, and they well, got their bang for their buck with that buff, no doubt about it.
Using the Baron, breaking the inhib, Dignitas are exactly where they don't want to be. That said, they do have the tools on their composition to attempt to turtle here. You have the wave clear from Tristana, her explosive shot. You have Victor with his laser. We'll see if the new patch has kind of put this pushing power over the edge and if Qiao can be as decisive in their team fighting as they are in closing out a game.
One thing that the analysts sort of pointed out at the start of the game is that there's not a heck of a lot of hard engage potential on Qiao. So if they really want to go for that fight, I mean, like you said, Dignitas have the resources. Yeah, look at this.
We'll be chased away like 4 people.
I mean, the threat that he's generating on his own right now is frightening in itself, I think. 6-0 and 2. Lich Bane completed. Rod of Age is already done, of course, and that's on his hourglass that he's so flashily used earlier on. Just help him in a big way. They might try and gank him, but it's a Kassadin. And there's post 6. Let's see the flash away. We'll have a Rift walk in a moment. Gets back. TCT is there just to shepherd him a little bit. The death sentence from Jesses will miss. And now you're getting desperate as Dignitas. If you can't shut down Duan B, what can you do?
They're just committing so many resources to try to make that work as well. While meanwhile, V in the top lane is prepping the wave and setting up for another siege point.
Duan B just absolute no respect here as well. Rift walks on towards Smitty J. Was the target he wanted. He doesn't care. He's going to use that Sonia's hourglass to avoid the stun. And there's TNT to pick things up. This is now turning into an absolute pandemonium. And Duan B is carving his name on that wall. That man is just feeling very confident. I think that would be the diplomatic way to put it, Frosk.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. And now we have split pressure coming out of Qiao. They're pressuring the top lane as well as the bottom lane. The death timer, again, very heavily punishing on Smitty J, so they don't have an answer. There's no one to send top, and Qiao should get 2 towers for their trouble.
Just so ridiculously easy for them in these last couple moments to start to get those important objectives. And now, you see Duan B, he's not with the team, but he has that teleport available. And of course, the split push in the top lane. It's V pressuring down. And now all those inner turrets have been destroyed. And it's just the inhibitor one standing, QG. And you can see that Dragon hasn't really been a big issue. They've used Baron to its full extent.
Hello?
Yeah, not really responding to that one there. The V is going to work on this one here. Teleport coming in as well. And maybe we'll have a fight here as well. We do see Dignitas pushing forward. Smitty J knocking out a land, the stun here as well. A bit of damage returned towards him. Unburrow comes up. Duan B does get the kill as well, but Kirei getting pulled out with the lantern. Beautiful stuff. They managed to hold V in place, but is it enough to kill him? I'm not sure. Jesses falls down. It's a double kill for TNT. 3 players for Dignitas have fallen, and they've made a fight in their own base, and they might pay for it with the game.
Oh, absolute chaos as they pick up another kill.
Because Apollo just going to get completely jumped over. That is the clean ace. And for a moment there, I kind of stopped mid-sentence and thought QG might stop. But I guess I don't know them as well as I possibly should. They're going to push on towards this Nexus. And ladies and gentlemen, we have our first semi-finalist. QG have made it through over Dignitas in a very impressive display as well. Shaky to start, but they finished strong.
And Dignitas looked so good with their new roster, coming out very definitively in their first game. Second game was really theirs to lose. They threw it over the Baron. I don't know if it was morale, momentum, but they decided to go into the late game, and you just cannot give Qiao that type of room. I mean, they didn't have the wave clear. If they ever fell behind, it was going to be disaster. And, you know, they came even into kind of the mid-game, the big 5v5 grouping, and were just able to run Dig over.
Defined weakness, and it's been quoted many, many times of Qiao was falling behind in the early game, and they still managed to draw things back later with good team fighting. When you do well in mid-game, and then you go towards that team fight orientation in the late, well, it seems just that much harder to deal with there. Very quickly, Frosk, I mean, you know, you knowing this team fairly well coming into this tournament, seeing them play now up against Dignitas, has this alleviated any of the concerns you had about them going forward, or is this just that first step and there's a few more challenges to face?
If anything, this is even more concerning because it shows that 3 months ago, Qiao are exactly the same team as they are today, and the game is entirely and very different. Dignitas did well. I think they blew expectations out of the water on how they showed up on their roster, especially in their jungle talent. Kirei looking fantastic. Smitty J showed up really well, and I think there was a lot of question marks there. But at the end, you know, no one really expected much from this side of the bracket. You know, the Dignitas, the Qiao, these teams, we haven't seen them since they played in their regional qualifiers or their playoffs for North America. And, you know, no one knew what kind of form was going to come out. Qiao, they have the exact same weaknesses as they did then. Dignitas showed that on their new carries and their jungler that there's talent there. But again, you know, it's kind of like Yamada Kane-sen. It's the long plan. It's now about, you know, building it up. They had a sub in their support position. So you can't look at this series and be like, okay, they won. They're in the semifinals. Qiao looking good. At this point, I'm like, that's a pretty worrying trend.
Yeah, so maybe it hasn't alleviated all those concerns, even seeing them get a victory here as well. And a team that has had a break and is now